See.
They're both the same. The mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction are essentially
the mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction are essentially
the same. To go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Like always, I'm covering the fakery by SpaceX. I mean, it's a complete joke what they're doing, but of course, the mindless zombies, the fanboys of SpaceX are going to buy this garbage without question. They question absolutely nothing that is presented on TV, just like I've shown many times with this quote from former President Richard Nixon. The American people don't believe anything until they see it on television. That's what it all comes down to. And for those that don't understand the whole entire concept of this complete lie, this complete garbage, SpaceX supposedly launches a reusable rocket into space. In doing so, they released the Dragon capsule, satellites, and of course with this supposed last mission that took place, was it 2 days ago, basically resupplying, supposedly, of course, the ISS, which does not exist, and the reusable rocket supposedly comes back down for a landing, just like like a pencil. And let's take a look at this footage. It's a complete joke. And before doing so, this is the only vantage point that you're going to get. You're not going to get any other amateur footage. This one shot, of course, by SpaceX released. Let's break this all down here. Let's take a look. As basically the cylinder rocket comes down. I mean, this is... just look at it come through the clouds. What a freaking joke. This cylinder, like a pencil, coming down for this vertical landing. I mean, let's get a close-up look at this garbage. One thing I want to point out, you do not see, basically as it falls out of the sky like a rock, you don't see the use of any type of vertical stabilizer. It's just dropping like a rock. And explain to me, how is this possible? Just by sheer luck, by chance, somehow, this cylinder rocket comes down for a successful landing, supposedly. This is nothing more than fakery, nothing more than CGI garbage. That's all this is. I mean, where's the amateur footage of this supposed landing taking place? Of course, it's not going to be available. Again, all we get is SpaceX and their official so-called release footage. It's a complete insult, a complete joke. Let's take even a closer look at this complete garbage CGI. I mean, it's so easy to fool people. Millions upon millions of zombies, specifically SpaceX fanboys, fall for this. And of course, who heads up this deception? It's Elon Musk, this Mason, as I pointed out many times. Nothing more than a deceiver. Just like everybody else that makes on top of this world stage, deceiving the public. Try to help out and explain to these knuckleheads that do not understand they're being deceived. They just want to worship these frauds and liars. It's all about Masonry, like I showed before real quick with Falcon 9. Again, all about the 33 when it comes to Freemasonry. And of course, the knucklehead fanboys of SpaceX, they know nothing about Masonry. It's all about deception. Like I pointed out with the 33, the highest degree in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, just like in India. But of course, Freemasonry being a worldwide enterprise with the supposed launch of the PSLV C-37, supposedly launching 104 satellites into space. Give me a break. You're going to fit 104 satellites in this thing? I don't think so. And where are they all going to fit? Not going to fit in this thing. Complete joke how people buy this. And again, the whole entire concept, like I mentioned earlier, with SpaceX Falcon 9, the reason they come with the concept of this name, it's Falcon, as it's a con job. And of course, like I stated, all about getting the number 33 fit in with their Masonic deception. Same entire concept with the PSLV C-37 to get your 33. These people don't understand. Again, the masses, the knucklehead fanboys of SpaceX, they know absolutely nothing about Freemasonry. They just watch TV and they believe. Again, just like Richard Nixon stated, the American people don't believe anything until they see it on television. People don't think. They let others think for them. And that's the TV. TV is nothing more than mind control. Now, before breaking down the fakery of the latest so-called launch into space by SpaceX to resupply the ISS, I want to break this footage down as I shown before with this launch by SpaceX, the Falcon 9, nothing more than a very expensive firework. Sped up the footage just for the sake of saving time. You're going to believe that this Falcon 9 is actually going to outer space. No wonder why you're deceived. If you really believe the Falcon 9 is going to low Earth orbit, going around the so-called ball of Earth, after watching this footage, you got to start asking some questions. How small is the so-called ball of Earth? As you see here, I'm going to back this up. Look at the angle it's coming down right here. Okay, let me back this up. Okay, so you're launched right here from Cape Canaveral, Florida. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's speed it up. What is the distance of this arch to where it starts coming down? Okay, again, supposedly going down and around the ball Earth to make its low Earth orbit before going to space. This is nothing more than, again, expensive firework coming down into the ocean. That's why they launch these rockets by the ocean. You see absolutely nothing. It's disintegrating. Okay, this is not going around the so-called ball Earth. Okay, there you go. There's your hopes and dreams of going into space, going up in thin air. Okay, that's all you have. What they do is, back this up here a little bit. All they do is show this, again, expensive firework being launched and crashing into the ocean. And all they do is they get footage You know, they edited in footage of them supposedly going to outer space. Clear as day. This is, again, nothing more than a very expensive bottle rocket going into the ocean. Now, let's take a look at this other footage. The official footage. Now, this was amateur footage, of course. You don't get much of it, but here's an example. Now, here's official footage released by SpaceX. I'm going to speed this up. Take a look at the arch, and it comes, again, back straight down. It's not going around the so-called ball Earth into space. It's going straight down. Okay, you see that arch, that angle it's taking. Again, how small is the ball Earth? If it's going to go out at this angle, then all of a sudden it goes down, again, straight down. No way it's going around the so-called ball Earth. Now, I showed these images before. This one photo out of an airplane window over Dubai, the world's tallest building. You see absolutely no curve whatsoever. You see a flat horizon. So people want to, talk about, oh, the Earth is so vast, it's so large. You cannot see the so-called curve of the ball Earth, the so-called curvature. But again, you want to rationalize this? At this angle, again, how small is the curvature of the Earth? You can't have it both ways. Just like I've shown before with the skyline over New York City. This is with a standard camera. No curvature. Flat horizon. Okay? Then you get this. Okay, why do you get this? Oh, the so-called, look at it. We live on a ball Earth. Here's your proof. Here's your evidence. That's because they use a fisheye lens camera to get the false perspective. This is how you get your false reality. Look at this ball. Look how it's bent and twisted. Just like the flat Earth is bent and twisted to get your false perspective. And again, to get your false reality. It reminds me of this quote by Henry Kissinger. No hero, but speaking the absolute truth. It's not a matter of what is true that counts, but a matter of what is perceived to be true. Now I'm going to break down the SpaceX employees' coverage of their fraudulent launch into space. I mean, these people here, just basically a young cast of characters, these actors. Look at this guy. He looks like a Backstreet Boy reject, just pimping the idea of space. Nothing more than horse, nothing more than sellouts when it all comes down to. Some might say I'm being a bit harsh, but I have no sympathy for these liars. They know they're taking part in deception. So again, absolutely zero sympathy. Let's take a look here at some of this footage. I'm not going to break it all down. Just get to the main point. And as always, I talk about having good discernment, picking apart the details. I'm going to break it all down. First off, notice how overcast, cloudy it is in the sky. Let's watch this garbage launch here.
2, 1, 0.
Again, I'll break it all down. Again, pay attention to all the clouds, all the cloud cover. Overcast, raining. Now watch what you're going to see here. Again, this is how they do it. It's all about editing. Just like a movie. They cut from one scene. I'm not saying it's not a real launch, of course. Again, nothing more than expensive firework. Now take a look at what's coming up here. Just in a moment. You're going to get, again, just nothing more than an edit right here coming up.
Be proceeding into kicking over for our inertial pitch. That's where Dragon is going to start.
Now take a look here. What happened to all the cloud cover? Look at this. Complete garbage. But again, people don't think. That's why they're so easy to deceive. It's so easy to deceive people.
Everything continuing to.
This is a complete joke. Oh, this is the reason. This is the reason you believe we live on a ball Earth, because this garbage footage that is nothing more than CGI fakery.
Operators call out.
Give me a break.
Communications. Today's launch.
This is pathetic.
Call out,
people buy this again. Hook, line, and sinker. It's on TV, so it must be real. Unbelievable.
See the app.
Now watch this. Again, nothing more than just an edit, like a Hollywood movie.
Now what you are seeing is a view from the inside of the second stage.
There are all the fanboys and fangirls in the back. Yep, there's all the... Yeah, there's all your cloud cover. Where was it earlier, like I showed? Give me a break.
Stage separation.
Looks like a garbage bag here.
And we have a second stage engine start. You can see the first stage is on its way back for its first maneuver burn.
You gotta show, of course, the angle of the so-called ball of Earth.
Or the boost back burn, sorry.
Yeah, goose back.
Meanwhile, the second stage is continuing to perform nominally. It's got a 6-minute burn.
We fast forward here to the knuckleheads.
We had a successful main engine cutoff, a successful stage separation, and then a successful second engine start. It was a little cloudy for the Falcon 9 coming off the pads, so we didn't get a great view of it, but it looks like we have a fantastic view of the second stage engine nozzle and the surface of the Earth right now.
Yeah, so you guys probably saw it as we did. I don't know about you, but I got chills seeing the booster fall away.
Got chills watching a movie. That's all you get chills from.
From the engine. And
yeah, she knows it's all garbage. They all know.
Towards Earth and rotating, like, great shot.
And here's your Backstreet Boy reject.
To get back to landing zone 1, there's the boost back burn, which successfully completed. Then there's the re-entry burn, which is to slow us down as we go back through the atmosphere. And then there's the ever-exciting landing burn as we approach landing zone 1.
Yeah, right. Now I'm gonna fast forward here, get to this one point where I saw something that's completely ridiculous. Like everything else with SpaceX. And again, it's about the details that the 99% don't look at. That's why, again, they're easily to see. Take a look at this clown here, trying to pass off like he's getting some type of communication through an earpiece. The problem is, he has no earpiece. Take a look.
The Dragon doesn't just go straight to the International Space Station. It actually slowly approaches over a series of
Watch this.
So we won't actually be getting there today, but once Dragon separates from the International Space Station, it will be slowly executing a series of burn maneuvers, getting it closer and closer. And we actually just got confirmation that we have a good orbit for second stage.
Just got confirmation. Okay, let's take a closer look here at the confirmation through his earpiece. Again, the details. Take a look.
We actually just got confirmation that we have a good orbit for second stage.
Right, and that's wonderful.
I'll take a look. Where's the earpiece? He just got confirmation. He's just reading off a freaking script. This is what a complete insult. If you have a brain in your head, you don't have to believe me, but just start questioning things. You know, take a look from a neutral perspective. And just take a look at where is the earpiece. Where does confirmation come from? Okay, take a look once again. Where he holds his ear. There's nothing there.
We actually just got confirmation that we have a good orbit for second stage.
More like just confirmation that you're a fraud and a liar. Complete insult. Nothing about SpaceX and all these so-called space missions add up. But again, people don't question these things. You get your overcast sky, and you get this garbage footage. Okay, not a single cloud in the sky. What all boils down to, it all comes down to, is the masses through generation have been deceived by those that own and control this world. People don't like to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. People are born into this world full of nothing but deception, and unfortunately they die not knowing they've been deceived their whole entire lives. Just like this quote I showed before from former German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, every truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. Secondly, it's violently opposed. And third, it is regarded as self-evident. You know, hopefully, SpaceX fanboys, NASA fanboys, ISS fanboys that believe in all this garbage that you're being fed, you're going to wake up, stop being played for a fool, and realize what's taking place. Unfortunately, there are going to be those that are going to rage. They're so in love with the lie, they can't get past it. They don't want to admit they've been fooled, they've been bamboozled, they've been tricked into this deception. Too much ego, too much pride. They're not interested in truth. They're interested in preserving their false reality they've been fed. Not only from SpaceX, but all the other, fake news stories throughout the years. You believe The fake news that you've been fed your whole entire life. Basically, your life is nothing more than a false reality. And again, there are going to be people out there that are going to rage and get upset. And this is for you people out there. Take a look.
It's really mister. You understand science is good. Education, you freaking retard, my stupid videos. Damn, my sloppy, huh? Don't sloppy. Videos, you stupid retard videos that you make. Because everybody knows that you can't show this again. You stop showing these things right now.
My question is, through your career and your writing and your acting, you've inspired so many people to enter the sciences. How do you balance science with science fiction? They're both the same. The mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
I can hear machinery blinding me with science. Science.
The mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
With this video, I'm going to completely debunk satellites in space, Google Earth, Google Maps being nothing more than smoke and mirrors, and obviously this fake phony ball Earth that we're supposedly living on. Let's take a look here. Let's get a close-up of New York City, of any city street. Okay, look at this. You see cars, you see people walking on these city streets. Just look around. Everywhere you look, you can see every bit of detail. Cars, crosswalks. Again, as I showed earlier, people walking the streets. Okay? Now zoom out. Let's zoom out of New York. Now let's see if we can see any airplanes that are all the thousands upon thousands of airplanes. Now taking a look at Flight Radar 24, what do you see here? You see a helicopter. Now let's pan out here and take a look here at all these airplanes. This is real time Flight Radar 24. Now let's zoom out once again and just take a look at all these airplanes in the sky. Okay? I'm going to zoom out. Take a look at the whole entire United States. Look at how many planes you see in the sky. Again, this is all real time. Takes a little bit of time for this to all load up. And look at all that plane activity. Okay? Again, real time. Now here's the problem. When we get back to New York City, where's all the planes in the sky? We should see them. So what I'm getting at is at a certain point, you're seeing real footage from an airplane. That's what Google uses. They have a fleet of airplanes that fly over all over the world and capture this footage. Okay? Then it comes to a point when you zoom out is basically CGI. Again, not a single airplane anywhere. We should see planes flying over the Atlantic. We see nothing. You zoom in, you won't see anything. Again, it's nothing but CGI. Again, it's a mixture of real with fake. And that's how they do it. Okay, that very simple. The whole concept of Google Earth, Google Maps, basically, again, a mixture of real when you zoom in. And there is an article online which I will show that shows that Google has a fleet of airplanes mapping the world. That's how they do it. It's that very simple. Let's once again look at Flight Radar 24 live. And what do you see? Look at all these planes. Okay, look at all these planes. Anybody can do this on their own. Again, it takes a little bit of time to load up. And you see none of these planes on Google Maps. So again, exposing Google as nothing more than basically trickery on the way they basically put out their information, their maps. Real. Again, you could zoom in and see literally people walking the streets. There you see some people right here. Look, you see these two people walking this crosswalk. We can't see these enormous Boeing 747s, 777s anywhere in sight. Okay, where are they? Some boats. Okay, much smaller than airplanes. Where's the airplanes? Show me an airplane, a single one. And this clearly demonstrates that there are no satellites in space. You know, this is all done, conducted by airplanes that fly over the plane. That's why they're called airplanes. They're flying over a plane. And again, when you look at so-called satellite images, all you see are these cartoons, basically composites, nothing real. Okay, you think this is real? Give me a break. All fake, garbage, nonsense. And once again, these so-called satellites exposed, Google exposed, as nothing more than smoke and mirrors. And as I mentioned earlier from this one article, Google has its own fleet of airplanes to map the world in 3D. So there you go. Very simple, easily debunked when it comes to so-called satellites in deep space. You know, we live in this world full of deception. Few can get past it. And again, I said it so many times, ego is the biggest enemy of truth. With all the videos I'm making covering the flat earth lately, I'm getting a lot of questions about satellites. You know, this is their evidence that the earth is a ball. Now let's take a look at these images of these satellites. Do these look real to you? I want you people that talk about satellites all the time to show me a real image of a satellite. All you get are these CGI images, not a single real image of a satellite anywhere. Why is that? All we get is this fake garbage. You get a CGI satellite, you get a CGI planet, all bogus, 100%. So, for all you people coming to my channel, talking about satellites, make a video, produce real satellites. You can't do it because they don't exist, period. Supposedly close to 3,000 satellites up in space. Again, all we get is this fake garbage. Now let's look at what ISS has to produce as far as real satellites. Get that fake garbage. You get this. All CGI, computer animated. Looks like a video game. Where are the satellites? You don't see any because they don't exist. Look at this. Wow. You believe this is real? If you believe this is real, you're going to believe every single lie NASA, the media, your government tells you. You've been completely blinded from birth. You believe everything you've been told your whole life. And any time someone questions an official story by your leaders, you get angry, you get upset, you get defensive. Because no one likes to be told they've been lied to their entire lives. But all you get, again, is computer animated garbage. Your whole life is nothing but garbage. Now with the supposed live feed from the ISS, you get this bogus CGI satellite here. You believe this is real? You gotta be kidding me. Complete mockery on the masses that take lies as truth and truth as lies.
We never stop hearing about how the internet's in the cloud, but really, it's in the ocean. About 300 undersea fiber optic cables are responsible for 99% of international data traffic. It's basically the same way we connect to each other in a single country, except underwater instead of underground. They transmit PewDiePie from Europe to America, and they connect stock traders in New York and London. And these cables, placed by private companies, are the backbone of the internet. But if you held one in your hand, it'd be no bigger than a soda can. There are just a few layers of protection from the water, including petroleum jelly. Yes, your internet is covered in Vaseline. They're vulnerable to earthquakes. At least a few times, confused sharks have bitten them. But many cables are beneath sea life because in some places they go as deep underwater as Mount Everest is high. Ships lower a plow that digs a tiny groove in the ocean floor, lay in the cable, and it's naturally buried by sand thanks to the ocean's current. And that process, it's both stunningly simple and mind-blowingly complex, is responsible for making the internet a truly global network. It's an idea that's audacious and crazy, and you think it has to be cutting edge, and it is, but it's also been going on for 157 years. Electric telegraphs have been around for a long, long time. Experiments in the early 1800s connected two ends of a garden using a clock that revealed letters. Then they moved on to two neighborhoods to help signal trains, and then multiple cities thanks to a network of railroad lines. Underwater submarine cables were an obvious next step, so they played around. Instead of petroleum jelly, the first ones were coated with exotic tree sap to protect them from the water. And though the undersea cables came in spurts, one of the first ones was knocked out of commission by a fishing boat. By 1858, they reached around the Atlantic and across the world. And that's how it's kind of gone since, laying cables that circle the Earth's oceans. The cables are unwound from the back of the ship, sink to the ocean floor, and the world is connected in speeds measured in milliseconds. There are ideas to bring the internet above sea level, along with cell phone towers and balloons lifted by Google. But for speedy international travel, undersea cables are still where companies like Facebook and Google place their bets.
The mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction.
I came across this footage from CBS News from several years back. Just another nail in the coffin in the whole globe heliocentric model. And people that watch this, the masses, the millions upon millions of people that watch CBS News have no idea what is being presented. They never looked at their own heliocentric model to have a clue that it has holes in it. Let's get right to the footage, and I'll break it all down.
A rough triangle in the dawn sky, if you can see, with Jupiter on the top left there, bright Venus in the center, Mercury to the right, and then tiny red Mars down below.
So again, we're looking at this footage from CBS News, and they're showing Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, and Mars all basically in one shot in the darkness of night. And here's the major problem with this. And again, people that believe in the globe model, and they'll mock and ridicule the flat earth, which of course has a really bad stigma, and that is by design to keep people away from the truth, from the creator, that we live under God's firmament. And let's get right to it with this bogus heliocentric model cartoon that we all have seen. This cartoon depiction of this so-called universe, so-called system, the heliocentric model, again, that we supposedly live in, which is complete, utter nonsense. And you see the so-called planetary alignment with Mercury, Venus, the so-called ball Earth, Mars, and Jupiter. And let's get actually a better look here. And here's the major issue. Again, getting back, when you look at this, again, in the darkness of night, all these so-called planets, which are nothing more than wandering stars underneath the firmament. And again, here's the issue. When you have the so-called ball Earth at night, how is it possible to see Venus and Mercury in alignment with Mars and Jupiter? This is 100% impossible. Cannot happen. And this is a nail in the coffin 100% on the whole heliocentric model. Now, I know there will be a lot of people heavily indoctrinated in this whole ball Earth lie system, this heliocentric model, They're going to try to find a way to weasel their way out of this. There's no way to weasel your way out of this one. And this, again, whole entire heliocentric model helps debunk the whole ridiculous notion of the heliocentric model itself. Let's take a look here at this graph here. And we can see here, the yellow is visible at night from the so-called ball Earth, visible in the morning behind the sun, and visible in the evening. And again, I need to really emphasize, again from CBS News, this is at night. This is not at evening. This is not in the morning. This is at night, as they stated. Here's the problem. There's absolutely no way, again, you can get Venus and Mercury with the whole entire heliocentric model to be viewable at night. So again, this is 100% debunks the whole heliocentric model. I know there'll be ball earthers raging over this, trying to debunk this video. There's no way. There's absolutely no way around this. And again, I want to demonstrate this as I've shown before. You look at this fake, phony globe that millions upon millions of zombies across this flat plane own and possess, and they don't read the fine print. Underneath, it states globes are not meant for educational purpose, but only decorative purpose. And this is, of course, flat out mockery. Not only that, the globe will give you cancer, according to the state of California. So you got 2 in 1. You got the mockery of the fake, phony ball Earth, and this fake, phony globe that you buy can give you cancer. Again, the 2 in 1. And what I find interesting too, over the years, I've shown this depiction from this TV show from 1983 called V for Visitors. These aliens, so-called aliens from other worlds, these reptilians, and the supreme leader Diana. And what is she hovering over? The whole flat Earth model with the dome, the firmament. Underneath, you see the sun and the moon making the circular motion, and the constellations locked within the firmament. And that gets back to the mockery of the planetariums themselves. You have this one here in Canada, and you have the whole Star Trek theme that they once had this Star Trek exhibit. And take a look here. As you see, many people have been to planetariums, of course, and you look at the inside of the structure itself. It's just like the world we live in. If someone told you these stars are hundreds of millions of light years away, you just take their word for it and you believe it without evidence. And that's the problem of society. They just take what science says without question, and this is what it comes down to. Literally, just like the world we live in, the firmament that's above. You cannot judge the distance by visuals how far something is. You can't measure the distance of how far it is. Again, we're just told how far it is. Never been verified, never proven through science. Also, a major nail in the coffin when it comes to the heliocentric model, with the sun supposedly moving 500,000 miles an hour through space, with all the so-called planets basically vortexing around it. And if that was actually happening, why do we see star trails going around in circles? It should be a big blur as again the sun is moving along with all the so-called planets. This would not happen 100%. We just again get a big blur of this tremendous speed, supposed tremendous speed, and obviously it's not happening. And again, science is through observation, and what they tell us, if it doesn't match our observations, you could throw out the window. And that gets back to what I showed earlier, getting back to the main point of this video, and that definitely is the evidence showing how we can see, again, Venus and Mercury, along with Jupiter and Mars. And again, this is literally impossible. 100%, this debunks the heliocentric model without a shadow of a doubt.
Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
Human action resounds in the heavens. The bell echoes above. What we decide here today will polish or crack the firmament. What shall it be? Human action resounds in the heavens. The bell echoes above. What we decide here today will polish or crack the firmament.
Been lied to by textbooks, and that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, you know, I don't. It's fine. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. Right. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. You've been lied to by textbooks.
The question is, through your career and your writing and your acting, you've inspired so many people to enter the sciences. How do you balance science with science fiction?
They're both the same. Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
Thank you very much.
Mission Control, I've got some news for you. It's gonna shock you, so you better sit down. Listen very carefully. The Earth is flat, gentlemen.
I can hear machinery blinding me with science.
Blinded by science, I'm on the run.
The mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
Science and science fiction.